Thank you. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to the Helm Weekly Developer Meeting. Kind of missed you all because it's been several weeks and we haven't had any meetings. And so super excited, it's 2022. And we, like always, will follow the CNCF community guidelines for running a meeting, and you all were so nice and wonderful and have already started putting in notes into the meeting doc. I did drop the meeting doc into the chat. So let's go ahead and kick it off with announcements. And Bridget, thanks for adding in an announcement about 3.8. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Sure. Or I see Mr. Farina has joined us, so perhaps he has additional comments. But yeah, pay attention to the fact a minor release is coming, and release candidates we typically try to cut a week before. Back to you, Farina.
The release candidate is scheduled for Monday. So if you've got something you want in, get it in now. Today, I've been reviewing stuff. I just merged something right before the call, which is why I was a minute late. And I'm reviewing something else. So let's try maintainers. If you've got time, please try to review things and see what we can get in. But come Monday morning, if it's not merged, or Monday midday, we're cutting the release candidate. It's probably not going to get in.
And at that point, people, if it's not a patch release candidate or item, at that point, people would have to wait several months for 3.9.
Yes.
So they
probably
should
about a
make
month
sure to get it reviewed.
Probably about a month after the next Helm minor release or Kubernetes minor release.
Absolutely.
So again, reminder by January 10th, if you missed that, review your items. All right, and Karen, I see you also put in an announcement about the Helm talk. Would you like to?
Yeah, so basically CNCF has now officially opened, the CFP quote unquote for the maintainer track. So Helm has been invited to give a 35-minute talk for KubeCon Europe. Deadline is February 14th. Okay, so the submitter needs to be a maintainer, but not all the speakers need to be maintainers. So if anyone has a good idea, but you might not be a maintainer, you just have to make sure you talk to the maintainers so that one of them submits on behalf of the group. The limit is 4 people max. And yeah, I just want to note that I believe all of the co-chairs this time are new. So I don't know if that means anything or whatnot, but these talks are still at the discretion of the co-chairs, so that's just something to keep in mind. And I don't know if anyone knows any of the new co-chairs. I personally do not know any of them, so I'm not sure if there are going to be any new preferences compared to the previous conferences, but that's just something to note. And yeah, there's a form, I linked it. That's where we'll want to officially submit it, and I will make sure to keep reminding you all in subsequent meetings. Any questions?
Aren't graduated projects guaranteed a talk from this, or does that somehow change? I thought it was always just guaranteed.
I thought so too, but I read the description yesterday and it seems like we are invited, but it could still not be granted to us. It's not completely guaranteed. And then as far as I know, I think they also just aren't opening it up at all to sandbox projects. So yeah.
I knew Sandbox couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't there, but I thought graduated was still guaranteed, but we will double check on that.
Yeah.
And these don't count against our total number of talks we can give, right? So people who have already submitted CFPs don't have to worry about this, right?
Yes, but I think you're only allowed to give one maintainer talk. So if you're a maintainer on other projects, then you may have to pick and choose. But yeah, it will not count against the regular CFP number count.
Seeing as it's January 6th and this is due in a month, is there anybody that wants to volunteer to take the lead on at least driving, making sure it happens?
We should clarify the proposal is doing a month. The finished
The
video is
proposal.
not doing a month.
Right. Yeah, the proposal.
I
But
can
as we all
start.
know,
I'm happy to just start the like template. I usually like do these on HackMD, and then I can like go and try and pull all the questions beforehand, and I'll drop that into, I guess, yeah, Keybase. That's what we use.
awesome. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, and I wonder, are there any maintainers who are planning on being there in person? Is there anybody we know who's going to be there in person? You are, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
And
Scott,
me as
Scott
well.
and I are both.
Yep.
I'm not sure yet because, you know, the world, but planning on it.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
and now moving. Do you have more, Matt?
No, I was just going to say, if people can be there in person, that's probably a good idea to have them collaborate around this and figure it out.
Agreed. Okay, moving to discussions. If you have any other discussion topics, please drop it into the notes. Bridget, you have a whole bunch of items. Maintainer updates. This is a great topic. Thanks for putting this.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to remind everyone they should check their email if they are a maintainer, because there is an org maintainer vote going on. And also I was curious, and I might be looking in the wrong place for status, but do we have any triage maintainers that are still in progress that people need to go back and recheck? I'm just wondering what the status of our
Joe's
triage
still
maintainers.
pending.
Yeah. Do we
Joe's
have a
still pending.
status of that?
People, I sent the email. I didn't get a lot of replies. I think it was the timing was not good, so I should probably send a reminder. We'll do that. Thank you for bringing it up. Sorry, Joe, about that.
I know this is the time of year.
All right. How many people are left for Joe's vote?
I'm gonna have to tabulate. I don't know.
Okay. Alan, I thought that you were also trying to be a triage maintainer. Is that still correct?
The vote has been approved, so that has been official. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I do remember that. Apologies.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody vote. Next topic is also Bridget. So
it's just
update
me
on-
wanting to ask. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. OCI.
It's just me wanting to look to Scott Rigby and say, hey, want to tell us the current status?
Yes, I would love to. Just to give a good, oh, where on earth is it? Okay, let me pass you to, or link the issues here, just so that it's really clear. The list doesn't look great, but it's actually better than it looks. Here's the list of blocking issues at the top of this, issue. The version range support by far is the biggest thing, and where it's at right now is Andy has worked on backporting the relevant pieces of the API for tag listing that were added to the main branch in ORS, which is slated for V2, for ORS V2. They had cut a V1 primarily for us before we recognized a couple other blockers. so he already did that work. It's a PR in progress. I'm working right now on the Helm side of things, and the idea is that we're going to collaborate, myself and Andy, Josh Wolf. There are a few other people that volunteered but haven't really been able to show up, which is not surprising. You know, I mean, it's been the holidays and so on. So we'll see. We only have we have 4 days left before the RC. So we're working from the Helm side to be able to make use of that tag API. I met with Matt Farina 2 days ago, who stepped me through some of the code that he was more familiar with, helped get us to a good place. Andrew got to that same place independently. And so drum roll, we don't have it finished, but we are meeting or doing another collab session this afternoon. And I don't want to speak more for Andy's time, but I know that there's some additional blocks of time he has to help. So we're getting it going. We'll keep everyone up to date. We're going to try. And if it doesn't make it, we will say, all right, we gave it our best shot. And if it doesn't work for the 10th for the RC, we'll move the milestone to 3.9. But we're hoping, we're putting out the effort. The underscore issue has a draft PR. And if there's any time at the end of this call, I might want to ask a few of the questions that I have in one of my hack branch that I wrote in comments. So if anyone feels really familiar, like super familiar with the resolve function, they could be someone that could help me answer those, whether it's at the end of this call or maybe someone independently afterwards. And that's it.
Thank you, Scott. Could you add that to the discussion topics so that we don't forget?
Yeah, you mean like an action item?
Thank you.
Or rather, yeah, I'll add it to the end. I see what you mean. Got it.
Thanks. Okay. All right. And the next topic is Bridget once again. And I saw Bridget had gone through and done a lot of PR cleanup over the last couple of weeks. So thank you for that. Do you want to bring up your...
Yeah, so I believe I'm going to once again point to another person on the call. I'm a very good named pipe today. So Chris, want to introduce yourself and say hi and say some stuff about this issue. And now that you've kind of seen the stuff we do on these calls, you're like, oh, this is why they haven't all reviewed my thing, because they're doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, take it away, Chris.
So yeah, my name's Chris. I actually work on a big Kubernetes platform, and we're a highly multi-tenanted platform. We have a lot of custom tooling as it is right now that we wrote ourselves to deployments, things like that. And we kind of don't want to maintain that so much anymore because it's, to be honest, not as good as community tools like Helm. And as part of this, we, as part of the thing is us choosing tooling, things like that. It's kind of important to us, especially with OSS stuff, that we can kind of contribute and help and be able to make changes if we possibly can. And yeah, so we've had a PR open since about the start of November. I appreciate there's been a lot of holidays in between now and then. We have been trying and pushing really hard to sort of get some kind of interaction and some visibility on it. And yeah, I don't know if we're doing that the wrong way, but it's been a bit disappointing, the sort of level of response we've got. I've tried on the mailing list, tried on Slack, tried on the GitHub issue, and so far only the GitHub issue has been responded to. Obviously, listening to the call, I understand there's things going on with maintainers. Matt Fisher, I think it was very kind enough to reply and say that he's kind of trying to train other people to help out. But I guess the main thing was for firstly, is there anything we could do differently to try and get some engagement with the PRs and help us out of the people? We got some very sort of quick feedback early on off Matt, which was, add tests and things like that, which we purposely missed out because we wanted to know that the idea would fly before we invested any more time in it. But I guess overall, it'd just be a case of can we get some attention, and also are we going about things the wrong way? Do we need to be sort of engaging you in a different manner?
I don't know if I can address wrong or right. I can say that probably US based, at least end of November, probably mid-November to beginning of January is a complete wash in terms of the US holidays are often if you don't use your vacation time, it will be taken away from you. Enjoy logging out from work for the next 3 weeks. And so there's a lot of that. So timing wise, I suspect that might be related, but yeah, I don't know if any other maintainers want to weigh in on what you would recommend for Chris's PR specifically, so we can get this moved forward.
I did mark that there's a breaking change on that PR, so either it has to be refactored or moved to Helm 4. I think you can refactor it. It looks pretty easy to refactor. So. But yeah, I mean, I for one didn't review anything in November, so or December because I was too busy. So I imagine that's the case for most of the core developers.
Yeah, I guess from our perspective, that maybe it was just bad timing, right? It's just in case we were going about things the wrong way, or there's a better way to engage with the community. Maybe just showing up to these calls is a better thing. But again, like you were saying in December, that kind of didn't happen either, right? So we wouldn't have got any more luck there, I don't think. Yeah, I didn't notice on the PR that anyone had said anything about it needing refactoring, but we're more than happy to go away and do that and sort of re-raise it. On the ticket itself, I think Bridget said it was better not to ping individuals. Is there any way we can tag someone or tag a group or something on the PR just in case? Because like in Matt's case, I think he got busy and moved on to something else. And, if someone sees he's assigned to it, maybe they're not going to pick it up. And, I don't know what your kind of process is for doing that sort of stuff, but it'd be good if we could do something to maybe sort of like raise the hand on it again and say it's ready to go. Is there any advice on that? I mean, I'm guessing no. I mean, I can just tag owners individually if that's helpful. I kind of just don't want to leave it now that it's sat there with Matt and he's sort of explicitly said he's not going to look at it. But I don't really know what our best recourse is once it's ready to review.
Probably the shortest way is to ask here, is to put it on the agenda and ask here.
Okay, I mean that's fair enough.
Other case, you're shouting into the void. I mean, we get to it, but there, as you see, 191 open PRs for Helm, and that number is always going up, it seems. So we can't. The one to two people who handle triaging every week usually can't check in on all of those.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's fair enough. I just want to know what we can do to make sure we don't like get slipped into like a stale queue.
As you heard, there is an attempt to add more triagers. Just it was suffering from the same problem that you were suffering, is that it needs people to actually be at their desk.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was just going to say too, the chop wood carry water thing goes pretty far as well. It's not quid pro quo or anything like that, but another thing your team or other teams can do is help with that bigger pool of PRs that Butcher was just talking about. At least in this and other open source projects that I'm aware of, when folks help with, when maintainers are overwhelmed with certain things, well, let's take some of the pressure off them by helping to review things that we can. You may not be able to, merge them or whatever else, but you could help review and do other issue triage related things that could really open up that space.
And I like that Bridget put into the chat that we'd love to see you on the path to being a maintainer. So that would be awesome.
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
Okay. And thank you for joining us today and bringing that up. So definitely appreciate your presence here.
Karina, can I jump in between? Scott, sorry, you have the next item. Just to say that I did do the count for Joe, and Joe, my apologies, you have passed a month ago or 2 weeks ago, and I didn't pay attention. I'm sorry. So we'll start the process.
Thanks.
And as your first act, you can go look at Chris.
Right. Well, congratulations, Joe. Awesome. And thanks for adding that up, Mark.
One other thing I want to say for Chris is we had a similar thing earlier where there was a PR we wanted to get in, and it kind of languished a little bit, but then I ended up finding another company that was also interested in it. So we ended up having like two different sets of companies that were both interested in the same feature that we worked on together. And I don't know if that actually made a difference, but it felt like it made a difference that it was taken more seriously because it was a consortium.
Yeah, I don't know, but on our particular PR, we've noticed a few people have like that we don't know have referenced it and put eyes on and hearts and all sorts of other things. So we do feel there is some like desire for it in the community, but no one's reached out to us kind of directly. It's all been on the same kind of PR and public visibility. But yeah, if we could, then yeah, maybe we'll get other people involved. And yeah, I didn't realize we could help like maybe review other stuff, right? So maybe we can try and take the load of people a little bit as well and look at some obvious kind of things.
And then now back to you, Scott. Thanks for putting that in the agenda. All right, hand it over.
Okay, yeah. I guess my question is, does anyone feel like they have the headspace to kind of to actually like look at some of the code and dig through that function? If not, you know, me showing this isn't really going to be that helpful right now, and it would be better for me to ask someone if they could follow up afterwards. But I'm happy to do it now if anyone's feeling like, yeah, let's look at this. I remember this.
Well, who is the, I guess I should ask, who's the best person to ask about the resolver?
Good question. I mean, I guess we can look at Git history. I know I looked with Farina a bit, but I don't know your availability now, or if it's really the right timing for you at this moment. But we could look a bit more if it is, or we could follow up.
I
if
could
it's
spend
not.
a little bit of time this afternoon talking about the resolver.
Okay, great. That'd be helpful. I've got some, basically, I'm going to go ahead and in the spirit of being open here, I'm going to put up some very embarrassing code for folks that is on a branch on my fork. And it's not really embarrassing. It's more like, I don't know the answers to a lot of these things. And so I wrote comments asking questions. I would say this is not a horrible way to go when making pull requests if you are, you know, if people are trying to contribute to Helm, because then at least you can get feedback on the pull request, even if the goal is not to have an immediate merge. It could be to help understand what's going on. But I'm not doing that because we have a lot of PRs open in the Helm project. So I'm trying to make sure to get this at least to a workable state before I open up the pull request. I did make the OCI underscore push and pull before push and pull PR, and have not yet tested that. So I'm going to do that this afternoon. I kept it in a draft state for that reason. So at least I won't be confusing things. Okay, there it is. I'm done with my rant slash question.
Okay, well, let me do a quick, anybody want to volunteer for next week? Notes, moderator, or triage? Okay,
I can do either, or I can do, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would prefer to do, I was just going to say I could help with, I was just thinking about the OCI, this goal for getting OCI into the next minor release. Maybe I would just do moderator or notes this time.
I'll take triage.
Thanks, Matt.
Or Joe, if he wants to do, and I'll ride along.
Yeah, whichever.
No pressure. Somebody just suggested that. Bridget suggested that. I'm happy to do it if you're not up for it.
I'm up for it. Actually, I'd already said it right before Bridget said it.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you did.
Perfect. And then notes. Jasper. I'm just going to start volunteering people. No.
Alan volunteered. Oh wait, sorry, never mind. That's
triage. Okay, thanks, Jasper.
Oh, quick question, Karina, and gang about triage. Since we have more people beginning triage, and there's already an offer to have kind of like a Farina riding shotgun, would it be good, do you think, Matt, for folks to kind of like pile in the back like a clown car and sort of like ride along with you and watch triage happen so that people get experience? Or would that just bog it down for you?
This next week, I don't know. My schedule is hit and miss, and I'm not exactly sure when I will have time to triage and to follow up with Joe on it. So it's not one of those things that I could easily plan with others over the next week. I just know that I have time that I could set aside. Just scheduling anything would be last minute.
Got it. So maybe another time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, if nobody else has any topics, we'd love to see Chris have you come back, and Stuart, and everybody else. It's great to see everybody here. And again, hope you had a wonderful holiday, relaxing break. And yep. And as Bridget said, go vote if you're a maintainer, please.
And congratulations, Joe. Yay.
All right.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you here next week, same time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.